oh, I saw something amazing close my eyes. No, for real. In Buddhism, we say we're all Buddhas. So these are not real. They're not real to you, they're real to me. When you actually anorexia, you think you can't die. I had a moment of lucidity when I was at the hospital, and I realized it wasn't true, and I was going to die. Then I stopped a minute, and I realized maybe part of me was still wanted to leave. If you wait to be the right time, you can stay all your life the way you are. I believe in power, but in a different way. The power of change other people's lives, the power of help people to smile, the power of give something when you're on the street, or that's power for me. Power is not about having more money than others, be a billionaire, I want to get 6 figures.
I don't believe art is just someone that's able to draw. For me, an artist is a researcher. I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. The artist is a mental state to be an artist. First of all, birds and turtles are my favorite animals, but this is me. There is an artist called Duchamp. He presents as an artwork a toilet. Now you say, those rubbish is there, but there's something behind it. The reason why he chose to do that is a message. Matisse and Picasso, but one of my favorite actually is Kandinsky. The Bird books, one of my books I've been publishing some of the drawing illustrations.
These two are the only one I made with painting and not origami. And yeah, this is a quite big format, but this is my last recent one. I'm very fond of it because it's a part of a mindful series, so it's a meditative guide. If I close my eyes, I lose my balance, I think. Let's see how much I resist to. Kindness, gratitude, compassion, love, and freedom. For me, all this together become part of what I am as a Buddhist, as a person, as an artist, whatever I do.
Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Monica Cilmi, and I'm an artist and a creative coach. I was born in Italy, actually Catania, one of the big cities in Sicily, the big island in the south. And yeah, spent my youth, but I moved to England in my early 20s, and I stayed there until 6 months ago when I moved here to Cyprus. So I spent most of my adult life actually in England. Yeah, my life in England is more my real life for me, because Italy it's never been a very happy place for me for different reasons than when I grew up. I grew up in a very strict family of Catholic family, good family. I'm not saying my parents are great, but my father was traveling a lot, and my mom used to be really strict and very, a lot of things were scenes in a sense. I've been abused, so I had a very difficult childhood. I've been abused, and in the family, I'm not saying it was that. Anyway, so it's actually been very difficult for me, and apart from that, which is actually took most of my life, young life, to get over and to get better. The rest around the family as well, still I don't really feel comfortable with certain way they think or they see things in a way. So that didn't help at the time. And so I'm sharing this about the, not being specific, but abuse, because I want to show people then everything can be resolved. It stays with you, but I believe that then everything can change. You could do anything, and then I've been through a lot, and I'm here now in a good position. I work well, I have a family, with challenges, but I got through that very bad time of my life because of that abuse. Another problem with my family, with strict education, I also become anorexic. So I've been through anorexia for quite a long time, and I was actually an age was already later than usually girls tend to be anorexic in teenagers here. I was already over 18 when it happened to me, which is more rare and more difficult times. I'm talking about this now quite normally because it's been a long time, and I see it as a cathartic way of get rid of it in a sense. Again, there are things in your life that stay with you, but you can live with them in a good way, and that's what I'm learning too. It's not that the things they're gone. of course they're gone, but it's not worth it to stop your life for things like that. The people go even worse, we know, in the world. So sometimes I feel like it, but sometimes everyone, whatever happened to you, it could be the most horrible thing for you, for other people not. So everyone, I think it's important to value each kind of problem you had, not because that one is bigger, that one is smaller. For you, it's the biggest anyway. But yeah, the anorexia kind of took away most of my young life between 18 and 25. It's been a long time, long journey, because I had to stay in hospital. Hospital was my kind of my home, became for a while, and I didn't want to do anything. And when you actually anorexia, you think you can't die. You feel this power, then you're not eating anything, you're disappearing, but actually you're stronger. It's like when you're alcoholic, you think you feel strong. It's like you feel like immortal. And because you take you mentally, so you're convinced that actually it's going to be okay. The moment, I had a moment of lucidity when I was at the hospital, and I realized it wasn't true, and I was going to die. Then I stopped a minute, and then I realized maybe part of me was still wanted to leave. I didn't want to die. I wanted to be the way I was, transparent. I wanted to be, and going through different reasons why I'm not going through that, but just say that what happened with this kind of illness. The moment I had a girl in the hospital with me, that she would say, I'm okay now, I want to start eating and get better. The doctor said to her, I'm sorry, it's too late for you. You're not going to be able to survive. Because when you're anorexic at a certain level, you came to the point when if you eat, it's worse. Your body won't accept it anymore. So you won't be able to go back. You die anyway, even if you don't want to. And that's the most horrible feeling I had at that time. At the moment I woke up, what's going on here? What am I doing? And even if I wasn't well mentally, because not just physically, there was a piece of strength in me that told, no, I want to do something. I was lucky enough, that was still in a zone when I could be cured, being going back, and the doctor said, yes, it's possible. Of course, you keep a lot of problem. I've been 20 and I have nearly osteoporosis. Your bones are nearly empty. A lot of things, and I don't want to distress anyone, but just to say, if some people been through something similar, been through that, you understand how big it is, you can go through that too. You can go over it. You can just do it. You can make it like I did, because of course it's always good to have support. If you're completely alone, it's more difficult. But even with the big fights, my mom was always there for me. She never leave my side, and that's a big thing. And my best friend was there for me, even on the sofa when I didn't want her, but she didn't leave me. And that's big things, because sometimes that's what you need. You say you don't want the person back, she's not true, but they stick with you even if you insult them, which is horrible. And I have to apologize to many of my close friends, but they knew it wasn't me. So all this, it took quite like 10 years of my life. So if you think about 10 years, it's a kind of generation. So if you think a generation, when you're 20, you're 30, you don't feel like 30, you feel like 20, because I didn't live my 20s. I lost my 20s. So, and now in my 40s, I feel like 30, because that's the way it is. So yeah, so that's the biggest and most difficult part of my life, and started from where I was a child in a different way, but I got over it much later. And but then after that, really, we always say we don't want these things to happen to us, but it taught me a lot. It made me stronger, and it doesn't mean I wanted it to happen, but it changed me in a way. Then I start to see things differently. I start to realize that I wanted to be who I was, because all this love for nature, for being very spiritual, believe in fairies, believe in these energetic forces that people thought I was crazy. Even someone told my mom I was schizophrenic, which I wasn't. So, anything. And also in Italy at that time, now it's different I suppose, but at the time when I was a child, there was very straight, this is this, this is that. There was nothing between. So, or you're sane or you're insane. If you believe in things that you can touch, you're normal. If you believe in something that's strange, you're not, something wrong with you. You know, that's the way I grew up. So if I would say to someone, I believe in fairy, they would talk to my mom, your daughter's not well, something wrong with her. You know, that's the thing. So growing up with this, I put everything inside me and kept it there, forget about it. I had to forget about what I really felt inside, what I was, the freedom I had, the feeling I feel. Because I wasn't really because you're young and you don't feel, when you're young, you want to really fit into the rest of the people, right? Way of thinking in my country and the environment around me was really heavy, you know, because I couldn't understand it. So I thought maybe I have to go with the flow and do what they do. But then it kind of, so these things had died inside of me. They were still in there. So for a long time I didn't feel, I go on normally, like going to school, going to university, having good grades and things like that, which is okay, it's not bad. But there was something was missing, and I couldn't, and I was still going through, you know, the problem with anorexia. It took me a long time. Even when I got through physically, it's not something mentally goes away straight away. So, especially in relation with other people, with relation with men and other problems. So basically, I moved to different places because I was born, say, in Catania, but then I moved to the north of the country by myself. Even if I wasn't still very well, but I moved to different cities. First to some other city in Sicily to work. I was teaching in schools. At the same time, I went to England at 20, but then I go back to Italy, stay in Bologna for a few years. So it's kind of strange. I did back and forward. So and I moved. I think I was 28 when I moved, definitely in England. I can't remember exactly, but yeah. So I was between Bologna and England in my middle 20, something like that.
Why England?
England, the reason why I moved to England was about the language. I always dreamed to become bilingual, and because English is the most spoken language, I already studied a bit of English, and I did study also literature, English literature in school, university, which I loved. So it was between America and England. I thought the better English I thought was England instead of go to America, and then I couple of friends to stay over at the beginning. Anyway, that's the way it happened. I was supposed to be there for a few months or maybe 6 months to learn the language and then maybe come back. I wasn't even sure I want to go back to Italy. But then I stayed. I met my husband, and I stayed also because I felt different there. I felt more free. I felt like I could really be who I was as an artist, and more opportunity as an artist. I think Italy is more closed in terms of if you don't know someone, get into a gallery or other things, it was more difficult for me. And the things I was doing, it wasn't understood in a way I was hoping. I didn't have a lot of satisfaction and achievement in Italy as an artist, basically. So, I don't know, I need a change, and then having been out a very dark time of my life, so my life starting actually in England.
When did you become a professional artist?
Professionally, I think I started already even while I was sick, I was doing it, but not professional. I think it started when I was late 20s, and I was already in England. In Italy, I was doing something already when I got a bit better. But because it's different the way it works, in England I had the opportunity also to become a self-employed, so I can register as a professional artist. So it was a more real, in a sense, professionally. So I consider myself professional, really working as an artist in a right way from 2008, because when I registered as a self-employed in England, I was already been there a few years already, but I didn't register straight away. So I was working, doing different things. But from 2008, I really concentrate on being an artist, really, working as an artist. And so I had my son, and there was a completely different world, a different life. It changed completely your life when you have a child. And also, again, I had another challenge because the delivery, having the baby wasn't the big problem. It was after. I'd been very, very ill because the hospital made a big mistake. They left me in a pool of blood. I was suffering all the time. And I think at the time I realized it was the first time physically I never suffered so much physically, being in pain so much. Even when I had my baby, wasn't so much. So, and at the moment also realized I was very strong, because if it was someone else, I think I would want just to die, because the pain was unbearable at times. So I felt then I was so strong to want to continue and just get better, but I was shouting at the doctor, look, you need to do something, you can't leave me like this, because it was really bad. And I found good doctor, bad doctors, you always find. Anyway, it took me a year to regain a bit of my strength mentally and physically. So the first year of my child, I was lucky enough to have my husband and my mom to help me, because I wasn't able. I was treating everyone really bad, my family, and I felt really horrible. But they knew it wasn't, again, it was another difficult moment for different reasons. And yeah, that got better, and something again was missing, and I want to be, you know, what I am. Being an artist for me is not a job. It's what I am. If I'm not, I'm half alive. Yeah, and I have this need a space. I need to, you know, it's like if you think about a doctor or a surgeon, they can't operate. What his job is about. If it's not, it can, you know, it's just about, with me, being an artist, surviving and living properly. I needed to go back to something, and I also wanted to help people. That's what I discovered, which I didn't discover, I remember. When I mentioned, then there was a lot of things I felt I was when I was a child, I couldn't express it, and they go back to me, they go back on surface again. I remember what I wanted, what I was, and I wanted to be an artist, but use art not as for art's sake, just for selling and do my art, but to change the world with that, to impact, to help people. I wanted trying to find something between being an artist as an artist, but also helping with art. But I didn't want to be a therapist with art. It was something I was searching for something different. I couldn't realize what it was. And that's when in this moment, again, of struggle, also creative people always get struggle, and I'm quite sensitive, oversensitive at times, and now my sensitivity I use as my strength, because I help people with that, I empathize, I'm able. There was a time when it was still, for me, it was a problem, in a sense I was overwhelmed by it. And I was feeling too much about what people feeling, and then it was too much for me, so it wasn't really healthy. It wasn't healthy, since now I know, and I'm glad. I want to be a different person, I don't want to be less sensitive, but working with that. And my son is the same, and I'm trying to help him, because when you're oversensitive at a certain age, it's difficult to balance the understanding. So I know what it means, but now I found this as a strength to use it in a strong way. And so I've gone through different trainings, and I decided to become a life coach, which it wasn't really related to art, but it's something that I felt like it resonated with me at the time, and like I was listening to his video, this tutor, and I felt like she was talking to me, and I decided to do it. And that was the first time I was really brave into understanding that you don't wait to have the right circumstances to do something. You do the thing first, the circumstances will arrive, they will get to you. Because if you do the other way around, you never do anything. If you wait to be the right time, you can stay all your life the way you are, in your comfort zone, do nothing. So at that time, the training was quite expensive. Also, I really want to do that, and I felt you could do it. So where do I find the money? You know, where do I find this, what do you call it, money, energy? I need to find it to do it, because I need to, I don't want to they don't let me do it. And I thought they were talking about helping me, and I said, but they want all this money. It didn't seem fair, but then I realized the money are part of the process, and they, you know, you need to pay money. Also, if you don't put money in something you want to do, you're not going to get serious. It's also get you commitment. Anyway, this amount of money I found in my way. I sold something, some of my artwork, and then I asked some help from some, and then talked to my husband, and I had a credit card, so I decided to use it. And I did. But what's amazed me was then all this money I didn't have, I found, of course, I was paying installment. At the end of my training, I managed to repay all of it straight away, because the training itself put me in a different vibration and different way in my life. Then I started earning. I started earning more. So I always believe if you spend more, you earn more. So it's not spending, it's about investing in yourself. So if you invest in yourself, something comes out. So if you don't invest, because you say I don't have the money. I'm not saying it's all the cases are the same. Some people really have the money, but there's always a way. Depends on what condition you are, of course. If we're talking not really, you know, but in a normal condition, there's always a way So I found my way and I finished the training and I learned a lot, which is more than for a career, it helped me for myself. It changed me. And the way I feel now, the way I talk now, my mindset now, the way I talk now, see, you wouldn't recognize me if I talked like this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I wasn't the same. I was in a good place still, but I didn't have this way of thinking like I have now. So that changed a lot for me, together with the support of certain people, because it's good also to be surrounded with the right people, not the toxic people be surrounding my childhood and early in life. And that's important too, what you have around you. You can choose to say no to certain people and be just around the people that bring good energy to you. You don't have to be around people that bring negative energy. So I was being an artist and be a coach at the same time. But slowly I realized I wanted to be one. I want to join the coaching, the expertise about helping people with art. I didn't want to keep it separate because it wasn't me. I'm an artist that can help people. So I don't want to be a coach and then I do something artistic. It was different. I want to be like I call myself like a creative coach or creative healer. There are different ways to express it, but at the end of the day, being an artist in the way I am, it's just about spiritual artists then actually make a difference in people's life.
Monica, are you happy?
At this moment, yes. Not all the time, but yes, right now, yes.
Tell me more. Why are you happy? What is the main reason? What is the main secret of your happiness?
Oh, that's not sure I can answer that. For me, again, being at peace with yourself is the first step. Because even if everything around me is good, and if I'm not happy inside because it's something about me, then I'm not happy about it, I won't be happy anyway. So for me, it's really being happy inside, which I don't know where it comes from. It can come from anything. In my case, after being through, then I make peace with the past. That was a big thing. Forgiveness, which I learned forgiveness when you, like me, if you had abuse or other problem, you don't need to forgive the other person. You forgive the action for you to live better. It's not because you don't want to see the person, you want to see someone, but it's all about forgiveness to help you. It doesn't help the other people, they harm you or anything. So I think what I reach now, forgiving what happened, even if, it's still part of you, is always remember, and it's a painful memory, but I don't think about it much anymore. It's like you think about this 90%, after a few years 80%, 70, 50, now 10% once in a while, so it's good.
Why do you exist?
Good question. Why do I exist? I don't know if I know the answer for that, but I believe that there is a reason for everything. So if I'm exist, there is a reason. The reason exactly, I believe then I'm here to make an impact to the world in my own way, and because I have a lot of energy and I love a lot, in any sense, loving people, loving nature, I think I could do a lot. I'm not pretending to change the world, but I'm saying that in my small part I can do a lot to make life of other people better, and my life, and the environment.
How do you
something
think?
impacting?
Through which means?
The main means would be art and creativity, which in my opinion many people don't know how powerful it is, more than other things, because the visualization through art and creativity, it can be drawing, can be music, can be dance, it's a lot more powerful than anything else. And if people understood that, I think the world would be a better place where we react and connect differently. So in my case, that's what I do, and art and creativity in general is what really the means for me to make a difference.
said you are Buddhist.
I'm a Buddhist, yes.
It was very interesting to know. I wanted to ask you, do you believe in God? So what is God
Basically,
for you?
I don't. I don't believe in God in a sense. I don't. We, as a Buddhist, we don't believe in a God specifically. Even Buddha is not a God for us. It's another person. It's a figure. So, if you ask me if I believe in Jesus Christ, a bit more yes. God is a different figure, which it could be anything. For me, a God is energy. So you can call it God. I call it maybe energy. So it's the same thing in a way. So it's not God itself for me. So if you say religious-wise, you believe in God like in religion, I don't. Mm-hmm. But God as energy, as a kind of something that guides us, yes, but it's different. So we believe in the Buddhist I follow, we believe in that everything can change, you can change everything. It's not about an external force, it's about you, what you bring, what you feel. And the Buddha is kind of a figure, and in Buddhism we say we're all Buddhas. We all can change. It's come from you, from inside, and when we chant to a scroll, which is said, some of the words coming from the sutra, the Lotus Sutra, like you have, if you're Christian, you have a Bible. But it's not reading, it's about chanting, singing on it. And the more you repeat it, it's create a vibration energy, which can impact you and people around you. And that's why often we chant many people together. Mm-hmm. The vibration change, the vibration around you can transform a lot, and I believe in that. So that's the difference between this and other.
Can you please share with me your principles of life? I believe somehow Buddhist principles of life.
Yeah, it's related to Buddhism. Maybe that's the reason why I'm Buddhist. First of all, for me, there are few terms that are very important that are related to my life. Kindness, gratitude, compassion, love, and freedom. For me, all this together become part of what I am as a Buddhist, as a person, as an artist, whatever I do. And what I teach to my son, kindness is not a weakness. Kindness is one of the strongest power you can have. Some people think if I'm too kind, I'm weak. It's completely the opposite. And that's what I believe, at least I believe now. And if you really get it, you understand how powerful you are. You're not weak, you're more powerful if you're able to be kind and see people like everyone can be good. It doesn't mean you're accept everything. People are bad, do bad things. Oh, that's okay because they're no. But you can, with your positive energy, you can transform that as well. There's your responsibility, but you can do that. And it's all about, instead of judging and always say this do that, the other person do that. Look at yourself, and maybe when you change yourself, other people around will change.
What would you do if you knew you could not fail?
I like this question, right? In a way, I do know that I cannot fail. Because failing for me, failure exists, but it's part of a journey. So it's not, I don't see it as a negative thing. I see it as something that I have to go through. I used to learn when I was studying, that failure is a feedback, they said. My teacher used to say, failure is just a feedback to tell you what you do different next time. Mm. Some people feel, I grew up thinking a failure is something to be ashamed of, but it's not. So I already think that way in a sense, and I cannot fail, because even if I fail, there's nothing wrong with that, if it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I see it in a different way from your question, in a sense. So
what would you do?
I think I would carry on doing what I'm doing because I love what I'm doing, and I will risk even more. I'm used to risk in my life, and I'm very proud of that. Even if sometimes you need to calculate risk, of course, and especially if it takes on other people with you. My calculate risk will be, even for me, to spend money that sometimes you think you don't have, but you actually have, but you're afraid. But if this money you spend, and you're not for the money itself, but because it gives you happiness to have something, then it can improve your life or make it things better in a particular moment in your life. Money for me is energy. So it's nothing negative. So if that energy put in the right way, why don't I use it?
what do you do?
Yeah, I'm an artist, also an author. I write books, and also I wrote 6 books or 7. I don't get confused sometimes. 6, yeah. I can show you. I have some of my books.
Please.
Yeah, I wrote 6 books, and also I'm actually call myself a creative coach or healer because I work with creative using mandala art as a healing tool, but also a chakra dance facilitator. And I'm also studied life coach. So I mix all these things together. So I call myself like a spiritual creative coach and artist. Yeah. And I think when you know the history behind certain form of art, it makes it more interesting and more profound when you do art. I don't believe art is just someone that's able to draw. For me, an artist is a researcher. I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. I think science and art are not so different in a certain way. If you take art in a certain way, if it's professional for me it's not just doing something nice and put on a wall. This is not being an artist to me. That's to be a person that draws well. Not necessarily, the artist is a mental state, be an artist. It's not just the talent in your technical skills for me. Of course, you need to have some technical skills, some more to express yourself
Tell me
through
more
art.
about this mental state. What does
I mean,
it mean?
you need to feel you're an artist in a sense. I mean, that's my opinion. I'm not saying necessarily that's the truth in general. I'm not going to pretend that. But in my opinion, if you're an artist, you have to be an artist mentally, physically, in all sense. What I mean is, as if to explain, because it's something you feel inside, you think as an artist, which means you think as with a quite investigative mind. You investigate, you explore, you need to be really open-minded. Let's say, I don't know if you ever heard, there is an artist called Duchamp. He presents as an artwork a toilet. Now you say, what's rubbish is that? I mean, as a work itself, it could look like something I wouldn't like to see in a museum or something. I might say myself as an artist, I don't love Duchamp, but there's something behind it. The reason why he chose to do that is a message. We are messengers. So the artist wants to express and give you a message to the world. Whatever he does, whatever way he does it, some people say, but if it doesn't show any skill technically, how do we know he's an artist? That's a difficult question to answer, but it still is. In my case, I see that the artist I want to be is a mixture of both. The technical skill in a way, but you use in your own way, so you have a basic of skills that you learn, and then you can transform and use it the way you like. If I learn calligraphy, Japanese calligraphy, but then I don't use it, I do it on my way, even if it's the wrong way, calligraphy is fine. I just learn, but that's my own way to express it. But it depends on the artist, what you do, because you can see behind what is in front of you. Yeah, this is something I started doing, not sure it's complete yet. I do like to leave it like this, but I actually put some colors. The beauty of this for me is that I wasn't planning. The time in the evening, I was inside, I said, I don't know, I feel I have to do something. I took my brush pen, I started drawing without thinking at all. So I don't even know how I made a bird, and at the end of it, first of all, birds and turtles are my favorite animals, but this is me. I have some nice origami flower. I did publish a book. One of my books is on origami flowers and rose, lovely tulip. So I did take inspiration from this, and this is my inner young fish. So basically, these are all my favorite animal in a different version. The koi fish, the turtle, which is not just my favorite animal, the turtle is my spirit animal, always for all my life. And as I said, the other animal I love is birds, any kind of bird. This is from one of my last commissions. This I'm very fond of is, I call it Mother Earth. So it's the way I see our mother, in a way in the form of a tree, very stylized. And yeah, a lot of work here, but and I work a lot with mandala. This is a mandala very grateful for what I have. So I did a mandala, I put grateful in the middle of it. So there's a lot of words about my life. This is inspired by chakras. So I did some very colorful because I inspired by the 7 chakra, and I did it during my training chakra dance. So I really feel like, and that's became my mascot. Like this is kind of a woman. This is, this is just, this is a strange mandala. It's very abstract, but it reminds me, I call it Sicily because it reminds me of the region where I was born. Maybe because it reminds me of the lemons, lemon tree. It's a lot of work like this, and then most of black and white, like you can see, and there's a lot about vibration in my work. So I like to share that, to move the line that moves and vibrate. So I was trying to do some sketches. These are just sketches about the way the interactive lines make things that this is vibrating, you know, like a vibration on it. So I was trying to do an experiment about how the line in vibration would work. Even if it creates shapes, it could be an animal moving, and like all, it's kind of you feel like in a vortex in a sense, you know, like going in and out. So this is a reflection of my love for Native American art and culture. And this is in traditional sacred geometry, it's called the Vesika Piscis. It's actually 2 circles create like a high, it looks like a high basically. It's traditional geometric, a connection to 2 people, me in the center of nature. This is called the seed of life. It's not invented, maybe this is a seed of life design, which is sacred in geometry, sacred geometry, and then I put the words are very important to me most of the time: gratitude, growing, love, frequency, abundance, and happiness.
Yeah, I just want to mention about this scroll, this big scroll, because it was made during the end of my master degree, during this position of the master degree, and is a very rustic way of doing it, following the traditional Japanese scroll, by just to stick. And this paper is actually, it's not a quality paper, but it's very good to have the effect. And this, it's just again an instinctive one that came out in a way. When you do Zen brush work, it's about the feeling and the energy you put into it. So these are all my own books. This is my first one, the first origami ones. This one is, these 2 are the only one I made with painting and no origami. And this is a quite big format, but it's a step by step, so it's gonna go different, things to see. But this is my last recent one. I'm very fond of it because it's a part of a mindful series. So it's a meditative guide using brush pen and ink, and it's all about nature and animals. So that's the most important that I did. It worked in the same way, but that's just to show what I mean. It's mindfulness into art, which is one of my favorite things. So, yeah.
But I would like also to know your understanding. What is art?
Art, again, when you say art, I don't want to be the one that decide what art is. I say, in my opinion, so art is, from my point of view, art is as I say, is a way to communicate, a way to send a message to the world. And I was reading an article, I would say, in a very scientific they've proven our art can be very, very good for the world in a very deep way. And then thinking about our art, it can be the most direct way of communicating to people, because it's visualizing things. You know, when you learn a language, when you learn something, if you visualize, you have shapes, it's easier, right? It's easier to learn. So the fact that you can visualize through photography, drawing, painting, even sculpture or videos, everything is a form of art anyway, like, other form of art in music and dance. It's the more direct way to communicate and get through people, I think. So somehow, if we would, so the article was about really make believe our art is important, because I see art as a message, as a way of communication, and one of the best tools. For me, one of the best tools to make the world a better place and to open minds. Because if you open minds and give it, because you explore different things, with an artist, in art you can see things from different perspective. If someone is close-minded, through art he can open his mind, which you can do with other things, but it's not as direct, as easy as you can do with art. And it makes people think more, it makes people feel more, and sometimes it's what is needed to make a difference, to make a change in something. And maybe I say art, let's say creativity, because any creative forms, then artistic in a way, it can go outside what art is. It can go outside and be part of life. Like origami can be used in engineer. Art can be used in medicine, because it helps a lot. You know, many people say then it wasn't the medicine helped them feel better. It was something they did with a particular therapist. And I had so many people, then they were drawing mandala with me, they did mandala and say, I don't know what happened, but I felt like an onion. Layer coming out, each layer coming out, and then I saw myself finally. I think also art gives you strength, in my opinion. If it wasn't for art, if I wasn't probably an artist, I don't know if I would go through my anorexia, I'd probably had the same way. I had this gift, and this next to me, like a protector, it's kind of a, I don't know how to explain, like a guidance, and art gave me the opportunity to be able to express that somehow. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't know even much how I would do it. And again, when I say artist, it's very wide. Music, theatre, it can be any form of art, honestly.
Here, the question, what differentiates a good piece of art from a bad one?
That's the, art critics are always sometimes very cruel and but also sometimes fair. I'm not a critic, and I don't like to really judge or say what is good art or bad art. The only thing I was to say before, for me, it was art or what's not. It's more about the way, if you are an artist inside, and that's whatever you do is a form of art in a way. Everyone can be an artist. I would never say this is good art, this is bad art. I mean, that's my opinion, because if you create something, if someone expresses themselves through art, I would never say it's bad. For me, it's not human, it's wrong. So of course, art critics get their job, and they need to consider art professionally. If in a gallery, this is good art and bad art. I'm not sure actually, I never understood exactly how they managed to say that, because you're not in the head of an artist, or the head of the person who did that. So I think for me, to really establish that, you need to talk with both artists who did the two work, them being considered bad art, and then go from there. Because if you don't know what the artist did, why they did it, and where it's come from, how do you say it's bad or good? It's still a question mark to me. I wouldn't want to judge and say this bad art is a good art.
What do you love about your life?
I love that I'm an artist, I'm creative, I love that. I love where I live now, I love my house, because my house is not just a thing, it's everything, it's a container of my creativity, or everything I do, and my love. And and I love my family and my beautiful, really close, I have a couple of very close, very special friends. I'm very grateful for that too.
What are you most grateful for?
Yeah, I think I'm more grateful for, the people in my life and the way I am, what I am, I think. I'm grateful for that.
Who are you?
Yeah, going back to the same thing, because it's difficult for me to say. I call myself, I don't know, a gentle spirit, full of colors. That's the way I consider myself.
What is the main color?
I think I would say is the rainbow color, all 7 of them. I think for me, the main thing I will say to you, Dylan, I'm going to talk to you directly. I think, Dylan, Mommy always wanted you to be happy. Of course, there are things I like, things I don't like. You might become something, there are things, I do things I don't particularly like, I'm interested in, but as far as you're happy, that's what is important to me. And it's not, of course, nothing to harm anyone. And mostly, I want you to be free of or express yourself. Not be worried what people will think about what you say, what you do. So the freedom of speech, the freedom of love, the freedom of being whatever you want to be, in a sense that as far as you don't harm, you compassionate, you're kind, you can be anything, and believe in that. Because sometimes we grow up thinking, then when you're a child, you think everything is possible. When you grow up, you forget about that. And why? It should be the same. If you could do this when you're a child, you could do when you grow up, in a different way. So I think that would like you to remember. And remember, every time you have moments or difficult, and also it's important to, if you have a feeling, to express your feeling. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're angry, it's fine. It's not wrong to be angry, it's not wrong to be negative either. There are times you need to be negative, and sometimes you need to be positive. It's, two sides of the coin. If it was the good and the bad, we would never balance. It's like yin and yang. So I always say to my son, I always say to you, Dylan, you have to accept both. If you think everything has to be always good, you're always going to be always happy, that's not life. You have to accept both and find a balance between, and yeah, mom is always going to be on your side, even when I'm not there.
Thank you so much. Please subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, like and share. This is how you can become a real change maker, contributing to humanity by spreading philanthropic ideas through the social media projects you inspire.